Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is, how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A game. Ain't made no rain from the track when we unite and spit. This isn't A game, better bring your A game. Competition starting to get thick, it's the click, so I hope you watch your A game.
Hey, what's up, Voices of Wrestling fans? This is Mike Gilbert, host of the Mike and JD Show. And before we kick off this episode of the Mike and JD Show, I just want to let you know that stay tuned to the end, because I think there's probably some people in this audience that doesn't really pay attention to my Brace for Impact podcast that I do on Thursdays, sometimes Fridays, depending on when I can get to it. And if that's the case, then you would not have been able to catch my rant discussing TNA's new policy of not allowing their wrestlers to wrestle AEW wrestlers on independent shows, and of course Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. I did about 30 minutes last week, and JD and I did not cover it last night on the Mike and JD Show because I did do 30 minutes. Joe and Rich also did several minutes on it. Meltzer, Albert, like everybody had a take. But I'm the TNA guy, and a lot of people come to me for my TNA takes. And because of that, I went ahead and clipped that, and I spliced it into this episode. So stay tuned to the end for me going on about 30 minutes and then answering questions from TNA fans, some of the hardcores that actually like the policy. So I was, talking to them about that too. So stay tuned till the end. Last 30 minutes of the show will be me ranting about TNA's new policy. All right, guys, enjoy the show. Hey, now, it's the Mike and JD Show, and I am your host, Mike Gilbert, and I'm joined, as always, by JD, by God Oliva. How you doing, JD?
Dude, my wife is gone for the week, and, things are falling apart at the seams over here. Like, Andy, it's just the two of us. We just got back from practice. The internet's not working. It's a thing, man. It's a thing.
Yeah, what can go wrong will go wrong sometimes, especially when you're in, Podunk, Illinois. On the how far outside of Chicago are you?
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half. So you're like 90 miles?
Easily, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like 45 miles outside of Charlotte, but we're in a really kind of a booming area. A lot of people that work in Charlotte live in this area, so it's pretty built up. So our internet is legit. I have not had any issues. Now I say that, and it's going to end up fucking me tonight, but for the most part, it's been pretty good.
You live in a suburb. I live in the country. My wife said, 6 years ago, we left the suburbs to live out here because one, it was cheaper. Two, we wanted land and live. Yeah, we want to live in the country because my wife grew up on a farm. So we live in a neighborhood that's slap dab in the middle of the country. Got a full acre, but that's the downside. Is this house was insanely cheap, but we couldn't we couldn't get good Wi-Fi until a year, and good, how good my Wi-Fi is. So,
yeah, you get the best Wi-Fi when you're on your cell phone.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Hey, I was seeing the new logo and stuff like that, Mike. I forgot something. Why don't you start just talking about things, and I shall return momentarily.
Oh, hold on. Okay. Well, JD's got a surprise, I guess, a surprise of some sort. So we'll see what that's all about. But so tonight on the episode, we're gonna start off with a story. I'm gonna wait for JD to get back, kind of a correction on a story that we talked about. But if you're here to talk about Rebellion, get your chats in. I want to hear what you guys got to say. I see that you guys are already blowing it up there. So please let me know what you thought of the show. I have pretty strong opinions, some mixed opinions. Unfortunately for me, I listened to Brian Alvarez's review already. So unfortunately, sometimes when I do that, I tend to parrot people. So I'm gonna try not to do that, but let's just say me and Brian Alvarez are pretty similar in our thoughts on this one. Oh, JD was just on, and then he got back off. Okay, now you are rocking the new Mike and JD Show T-shirt. Show it off, JD.
The new Mike and JD Show T-shirt, super complimentary, makes the guns look nice and tight. Right? Yeah. Looks great. Did an excellent as a graphics teacher, right? I would give Mike an A on this graphic design that he did this time around. This is easily the best show logo we've had in the 5 years, 4 years.
Yeah, but no, yeah, by far, it's our best logo for sure.
Easily, and we've had like 5. Like I think we get a new one every year. And you too can join us in purchasing these things at TeePublic. Mike, can you post the address so our lovely patrons and fans can buy their own Mike and JD Show merch?
Yeah, I will do that. I got a lot of merch up there. So JD, I have the so a friend of the show from San Francisco. I can't remember what his name is. I'm sorry. Is gosh, he's usually in the chat. He'll be in the chat tonight. But a friend of ours from San Francisco, he tried to do the AJ Styles Come T-shirt logo, but the site that he was using was a bit pricey. So guess who I got to help me make the logo for it? That way I could put it onto our site.
Who's that?
Mrs. Gilbert is like a Photoshop whiz. So I sent her the thing. She was able to extract the file and she made it. And I was able to upload it to TeePublic. So I have the Jizz logo on. She did not understand what was going on. So she doesn't think I'm a complete idiot. So that's good news. But yeah, I have the AJ Styles Jizz logo. I got a BFI NWO logo T-shirt. So that's up and Adam. So I'll put this in the chat. So, and then I'll make sure to get this in the comments. And actually, when you go onto YouTube, if you're watching it, like that T-shirt is our tagged merchandise. So it'll pop up like right as you click on the video. So it'll always be in there. All right. Okay. So before we get into our top, it's a good look. It's a good looking shirt. I'm really proud of the logo. I'm glad that you like it, JD. You liked it so much that you actually finally bought one of our T-shirts.
But it's only been 5 years. Like, yeah, this is the first time I looked at one of Mike's shirts and I'm like, dude, I want to wear this shirt. I'm going to walk around school with this thing and people are going to make fun of me. But that's perfectly fine with me because it's our shirt. Yeah. My wife even said, Michelle's like, that's a good looking shirt. I said, I might not have a mark with this one.
Rich Crash, our boss, said he first saw the logo and he goes, I love that logo. And he's never said that about our logos before. So that's good. Demon Walking sort of looks like a Run DMC shirt, almost like I meant for it to look like that. I happen to be a fan of Run DMC, and that's kind of what I was going for. I wanted it to be like a Run DMC style with a little bit of ESPN touch, and I had to make sure to get the microphone in there. That was my whole plan. So I'm glad everybody likes it.
The mic has been the one through line that we've had through all of our logos. Is all of them incorporate microphones. So I like that we've kept that going. But this is great. I love red and black. Those two colors work well together. They were my college colors. So
Yep. All right. So we're gonna actually kick it off with a super chat. So go to super chat. Thank you to Glassdoor Gamer. He sent us $5 Canadian, but still 5. Thank you, sir.
Are great. The King used to give us lots of money. King doesn't give us money anymore. So
I think he did last week actually.
King gave us money last week, so I track what I just said.
Yeah. So he's asking, is Vince back in WWE? This garbage creator has his fingerprints all over it. I loving the hate Triple K Fed is getting. I really don't like that guy. So I can definitively tell you that no, he is not back, but his sycophants are still there, which would be Triple H, who was a bit different than him. I think he had a different ideology, but the TKO brass, they bought it when Vince was in charge, and that's what they want. And so they're incorporating like extra celebrities are throwing Triple H's creative out the window. They're incorporating, Jelly Roll and like force feeding Pat McAfee down everybody's throat. WWE fans are pissed off, and I think it's hilarious.
Can we talk about an uncomfortable truth, Mike?
Yeah.
The creative in this company that everybody loves was Vince McMahon's creative.
Yeah.
Like the bloodline, all that stuff, the stuff that really like jumped Cody, like the Cody chase. like what was it? The what do you call it? The finish the story, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, that was Vince. That wasn't Triple H. Like Triple H got to kind of coast out on the stuff that Vince started, and since he really had the shekels on his own, it hasn't been great.
Yeah,
like
I think what Triple H did when he came in, he was writing those two big stories, which were great stories. Vince's problems at the time is he was kind of losing his brain, and everything was just so disjointed, disorganized. He was changing his mind all the time, throwing formats out the window right before the show comes on the air. So Triple H comes in with his team, and it's like more organized. People are getting along, and then all of a sudden, now we're back to where it was in 2019 when Vince was losing his marbles. They've already kind of reverted back to that because eventually everybody gets burnt out, and like they got too many cooks in the kitchen, and TKO is meddling, and Triple H is not a good leader. He doesn't know how to handle that stuff. He's very egotistical, and he's actively telling CM Punk and Cody to go on and bury his bosses because he can't do it. So the whole thing's a shit show, and I think it's hilarious. And before anybody calls me a hypocrite, yes, I am wearing a WWE t-shirt, but in my defense, it's Stone Cold, baby. That's my guy, and I'm never going to stop repping Stone Cold. So.
Hey, Mike, I got something for you. So you're telling me an East Coast billionaire who surrounds himself with sycophants who can't tell him when he's lost touch with reality drove something? What? I mean, like, just, I don't know, man. I feel like I've heard that before or something.
Yeah. I feel like it's a problem in more than one industry, whether it be entertainment, politics, whatever you want to, however you want to look at it. But so let's get to the top story though, JD, because we have to correct the story that we talked about a couple weeks ago. I even clipped the video because I was like, I can get a good thumbnail out of this. So I can't remember the name of the company, but it's called RPW. Like Rampage Wrestling, some bullshit, some little shindy. I think it's Ricky Shane Page is kind of like, if he's not in charge of it, he's like one of their top guys. Indie kind of deathmatch mud show. They're at the Berwyn, some club in Berwyn, Illinois, probably close to where you live.
Berwyn's like one of the suburbs that's like really close to the west side of Chicago. So I mean, like it's one of those first suburbs. Very famously, if you ever watched Svengoolie, Berwyn, that's like for those Gen Xers. Anyways, you know Svengoolie, Mike?
I do know who that is, but only because of Jim Cornette.
Yeah,
that's the only reason I know. Yeah.
It's what unites us is wrestling. So this is actually one of the most sacred Chicago indie places ever. Like so much great independent wrestling has happened at the Eagles Club in Berwyn. Been there numerous times, and now it's done. They're gonna have one more show. It's gonna be AAW, the premier Chicago indie. I wrote a great article about them. I'm really proud of it that I wrote for Fight Game back in the day. They're closing. They're like, you know what? We don't want to deal with this anymore, with this indie wrestling shit. Because it turns out. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you can explain it. It's your neck of the woods. You go ahead and explain it.
Bullshit. It turned out the stabbing that we reported last week, because neither one of us had actually seen the video. Mike actually told me on the show what happened. I had no clue. It's like just a bunch of shit. Turned out it's the work, right? Yeah. There never was a stabbing.
Yeah. So Cruel was confronted by a fan after a show. Cruel be Mads Kruger was confronted after a show by a fan. And that turned into a fight. The wrestlers jumped the fan and threw him out. And then afterwards, a couple of the wrestlers, I don't think Cruel was the guy saying he got stabbed, but a couple of the wrestlers said that he did. And like nobody corrected it. It was weird. And then
it had the vibe that they beat the shit out of a fan, and they were kind of like, well, we probably should cover our asses.
Yeah.
Because we actually beat the whole hell out of a guy for no reason. Probably not no reason, but a bunch of wrestlers beating up one guy is a bad look.
Well, he was probably talking shit to Cruel, and Cruel just started just threw a punch at him, and then the other wrestlers jumped in. Nobody in that goddamn promotion can throw a punch. I saw the video, and then afterwards, you're right. They were just trying to cover Cruel's ass, saying that Cruel had gotten stabbed, and I don't think Cruel ever said he got stabbed. In fact, I follow him on Twitter, and the only thing he said was, "I'm actually fine." But I don't think he wanted to kind of like rat out the boys who said, like, this is just me like reading what happened on Twitter. He probably didn't want to correct it. Well, then when it gets investigated by the police and Cruel's like, he didn't want to press charges because he knows that he was the one that was actually like threw the first punch and like he didn't get stabbed. And now because of all this, because of the lie, actually, it's one of those things where it's like, they told a lie and they didn't need to. It would have been easier just to tell the truth, and I don't think anybody would have gotten in trouble in the first place. But because they jumped a fan, then lied about what happened, the cops got involved. That the Berwyn Club, whatever it's called, they said they don't want anything to do with wrestling anymore. And all of the indies in that area, and including like Game Changer and some of the national indies, come to that club and run shows a lot. So it's turned out to be a pretty shitty situation for everybody.
I got one of my former athletes is a Chicago indie guy, and he was livid on social media. Like one of my former wrestlers, he's been an indie guy in Chicago for about a decade now, and he just like lambasted these guys on social media. He's like, these guys who just come in, they're not regulars, they're not locals, they just run a shitball show and fucked it up for everyone. So I mean, he was really, really upset about that. I don't blame him. This is, like I said, this is a place that has hosted independent professional wrestling in the city of Chicago for probably 20 plus years, right? We're talking like the original place in Ring of Honor, I believe. This is where Ring of Honor originally was running shows in the early 2000s. Yeah.
Shitty. All right, Glassdoor Gamer with another super chat. Like I said, you guys throw in a super chat, I don't care what it is. We'll just change the subject and we'll get right on it. Glassdoor Gamer.
How much is 2 Canadian fivers wide that to be in US dollars right now?
I don't know. I think the American dollar has to be down, right?
I would assume so.
I would assume so. I mean, they started a war. They weren't provoked into it. They just went. And then Iran closes the strait, and we told them to open it. They didn't, and now we're going to double close it. So I think our dollar might be down. I don't know. The whole thing's weird. But anyway.
I'm looking it up.
He says, Mike, we need you to cover MLP. That would be My Little Pony. Or no, that's Maple Leaf Pro. Over at LOL TNA. I'll get you Canadian cable to do it. I would stop watching TNA in a heartbeat if someone's willing to pay me lots of money to cover something else. If they want me to drop my TNA coverage, which drives this network, I'd be happy to do that. They just have to pay me.
So I don't know if you heard the flagship this week, but I was listening and I spit my iced tea up all over the driver steering wheel when someone approached Joe Lance, our boss, and asked him TNA questions, and he looked at him blankly and said, "Perhaps you should listen to the Mike and JD show on our network." He didn't want to engage them, so I was like, "It's just great." $7 US, $7.22 is what that kind of stuff is.
Nice. Well, thank you, Glassdoor Gamer. We greatly appreciate the support. Well, I guess we should get into this TNA Rebellion show. Like I said, if you guys got your opinions in the chat, drop it on me. Let me know what you guys thought. Because I thought it was a completely and wholly, utterly disappointing show. Because they had lots of good matches that started out as good matches, and they were just completely ruined by overbooking. Just constant overbooking. I think I got Brian Alvarez. So unfortunately, I listened to Brian first. And so now I'm like, God damn it. I might end up parroting some of his thoughts and some of the things he was saying because I agree with him. And I try not to listen to other people's reviews before I do mine because I don't want to steal. But I know I couldn't pass up Brian though because he was so pissed. It was just way too funny. I know people don't like him when he's reviewing AEW shows, but they tend to like him when he reviews TNA shows. Weird. I don't know why. Just weird. Like almost like it's a double standard. Crazy. Here's what he said. He said in 5 different matches there were shenanigans involving the ref. 5. JD, there was 8 matches on this show. The ref was involved in the finish in 5. There was interference in all of them but 1. Now, I know I take it all of them but 2. But the one so the first match, which was really good, it was Cedric Alexander versus Leon Slater. Really, really good match. 2 really, really good pro wrestlers. There was no real outside interference, but Cedric tried to get the belt and like the ref was distracted and it became an issue. And And then it just kept happening all night. So like each match, if they were like individualized on their own and there was no other like ref distractions and interferences, like they would have been fine on their own. But because it was just a night filled with them, they all became bad. Just like, you know, it was terrible. And here's the perfect way to describe it, JD. It is a PG-13 version of an ECW show, but with better wrestling. If that makes sense.
ECW. What era of ECW are we talking about? We're talking 1995 ECW? We're talking about 1999 ECW.
Probably 99. Like because like, you know, 99 you would get some good wrestling, right? Like you would get RVD and Jerry Lynn and doing that stuff, but then you would get a lot of like Axel and Balls, and you would get the Blue World Order, like you know, you would get like where you would get the Blue World Order versus the FBI on every pay-per-view. Like, you know, you would get the, you know, it was
Doring, Roadkill. Yeah.
It was just tons of shenanigans all throughout the night. So it was really a pay-per-view that had the opportunity to be good, but Tommy Dreamer is completely in control of this company as far as what happens on the screen. Just can't help himself. He just thinks it's so fun to have the interferences and the shenanigans. He thinks it's so fun to have overbooking. He just really likes it, and it gets to the point now where the pay-per-views are just an extension of the TV show, and they're just shooting angles all night when really they should be closing up angles. But it's weird.
Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't they charging for these pay-per-views?
They are. So they're putting all their biggest matches on there, but they're not really delivering finality. They're like, it's weird. Like they did close some feuds tonight, but at the same time they were creating new feuds because of the shenanigans. It was, and like shenanigans in a place where you didn't need shenanigans. Like the first match, Cedric Alexander and Leon Slater, they got the belt involved and they distracted the referee. They didn't need to do any of that. The match was great. Leon can beat Cedric, you know, no problem. Cedric doesn't need an out there. Cedric's the heel, and it makes sense that the heel would try to cheat, but the fact that it even got involved at all, and every other match after that had similar things happening, it just kind of cheapened what they were able to do. You know, on itself, it's probably a 4-star match, but you take out the shenanigans, it's, you know, probably 4.5 if you were like the star rating type of person. It's just weird.
I don't understand. I mean, like, I know the reason why we do it is we get heat, gotta get heat.
Yeah.
I also think too, it's like to protect people, because like we worry about having people do jobs because we think that if they do jobs, they're not going to have any value, which is just stupid. Like, it's frustrating. And someone goes, "Oh, I forget some of the comments. Like, it's only a problem. It's not a problem. It's an AEW. No, it's a problem in AEW too.
Yeah, it's one of my biggest complaints about AEW.
I was just listening to Center Stage Chronicles today when I was working out. Center Stage Chronicles, phenomenal show, voice on Between the Sheets Network. Right, you ever listen to Center Stage Chronicles, Mike? It's Chris Zellner, Rob Naylor, and Charles from Wrestling Playlists. Like I have not. No. 1 month of WCW at a time, right? And they're talking about how I had a point that I lost. Oh yeah, about how it's like how today, just listen to how, you know, back in the day, like they came to Dusty just taking the book and they're like, "Hey man, we did the same finish in this town last month. It was like the Fantastics and the Midnights." And Dusty's like, "It's different people this time. It won't be a big deal." And this is a house show, right? Yeah. Whereas today, and Dusty's like, "It's a house show. It's not that big a deal." Nowadays, on a pay-per-view, you'll have 3, or even a TV show, you'll have 3 matches with the same finish, basically. Like, there's just no thought and care put into finishing the matches these days, right? Everything is an out. Like, nothing has real consequences. Like, if guys don't actually get beat, and I'm going to come back to this later, because I think there's a match, one particular match to me that actually had consequences, had a clean finish. It was one of my favorite matches of the year, because there wasn't a lot of shenanigan bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And I don't understand why we have to do this all the time. It bugs me.
Yeah. I know. I completely agree. All right. I'll get to the report. So they drew about 3,500 people in Cleveland, which is really good for a TNA pay-per-view. Like any TNA show, like 3,500 is pretty good. They did have it set up for 46, so you wouldn't call it a success based on the fact that they didn't really get that close to reaching it. But on its face, 3,500 is pretty good for a TNA pay-per-view. So Leon Slater defeated Cedric Alexander. He retained the X Division title during the match. They did advertise that May 14th they're going live on Thursday night, and if he retains his title on May 14th, then he will be the longest reigning X Division champion of all time. So they're making that out to be a really big show. So looking forward to that. So Brian has it as a really, really good match, 3 3/4 star, but it would have been better had Cedric not tossed the X title into the ring. Slater grabbed it, hit a Styles Clash on the belt, and then the Senton 450 for the pin. Just unnecessary. But again, if you didn't really get a bunch of unnecessary crap the rest of the night, then that wouldn't have really been a big deal. But then you go back to it. It's like, wait, they shouldn't have done that either. Like one of those things. But Leon Slater, Cedric Alexander, really, really good match. I would recommend it to people. Elijah and Frankie Kazarian, not good. Another overbooked mess. So Elijah brings his guitar to the ring, and he had his guitar kind of in the corner. And during the match, Kazarian just grabs the guitar strap and just starts beating the shit out of Elijah right in front of the referee. And the argument was, well, Elijah brought it into the ring, so it's not a DQ. So he's just hitting him.
I don't understand. I'll never understand that justification. If I bring a gun to the ring and shoot you, if I bring a gun to the ring and you shoot me, that should end the match.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
So
I get it. I'll never get it.
Yeah, the whole thing was just ridiculous. Just, again, overbooking. I think they're trying to get to a leather strap match, clearly. So, again, this is a pay-per-view, and we're using this match just to shoot an angle for the TV show versus having this match on TV, introducing the strap to get to a strap match on pay-per-view. We're just having this second match of the night, and we're going to try to get this to a television show because they don't have another pay-per-view until June. So they're going to have to do it in between now and then. So they're hitting each other with the strap. Ref does nothing. Elijah hit the sit-out chokeslam for 2 because Aaron hit a slingshot cutter from the apron onto the guitar. So they're using the guitar. Still no disqualification. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Elijah fired up, grabbed the guitar. The ref took it away, so now you can't have the guitar. Kazarian then, while the referee's throwing the guitar away, hits a low blow, quick roll up for a pin. Just a complete dog shit match. So next, Special Agent Zero versus Moose. This was a 90s All Japan big man match. It was fucking great. It's fucking fantastic. High flying moves, power moves, no selling, no selling. High fly moves, power moves, just 2 big bastards. Special Agent Zeros. He's 6'4" and just jacked to the gills. He can fly. He can fly like crazy, and so can Moose. Moose is super athletic, and so they wanted to have a Japanese style match, and they did. But then they incorporated some high flying, so it was really good. Problem was, so Moose hits a power bomb on the steps, and then the Great Hands jump Alicia Edwards, Moose's manager. Moose saved her. She acted like she broke her ankle. Moose carried her to the back. And then Agent Zero hit a Claymore out of nowhere. And then choke bombed him onto the apron. And then choke bombed him in the ring for another pin. So more shenanigans. 3rd match in a row. We're 3 for 3. But I really enjoyed the match. I don't care that they had shenanigans. I just loved it so much. And I love both these guys for sure.
Can I tell you my favorite Moose tweet of all time?
Oh, I get the feeling I know what it is, but go ahead.
Shut the fuck up, Mike.
Shut the fuck up, Mike. He deleted it, which is funny.
Because he didn't realize he could have paid more money.
Yeah, he didn't realize I was having his back. He thought I was just dogging TNA. I was like, no. When I was dogging the decision, which I did 30 minutes on that story on Thursday night. I don't want to rehash it again, but. Yeah, he ended up deleting it, and then somebody that used to work with him DM'd me immediately. And is like he doesn't know that you have his back. So I think they smartened him up, and he just deleted it. So
I think Moose just assumes anybody who talks about him is against him, and doesn't actually. I don't think he actually read the tweet.
No, he wasn't even mentioned. He wasn't mentioned in the tweet. I said if people are being pulled from bookings at the last minute. they should be compensated for that by TNA. And I can share this. It's not, the news isn't out yet, but I've heard, I don't know if it was because of my tweet and because of the social media backlash, but that is actually happening. Like TNA is going to take care of people when they cancel their bookings at the last second. I don't know that I had anything to do with it, but if you guys want to give me credit, feel free.
I will.
Yeah. But okay, JD. The hardcore country match.
Fucking like, don't do this.
Is quite possibly the worst match I've ever seen.
Really?
But also one of the most entertaining matches I've ever seen. It is both terrible and great at the same time. Brian was on his show and he said that if you said this was -5 stars, he goes, I wouldn't argue. But if you said it was 5 stars, I also wouldn't argue. It was a complete train wreck. It was a goddamn mess. This is where it's like, this was an ECW match that's less violent. It was everything that ECW was. Just it was the Blue World Order versus the FBI with just like tons of weapons, just without the blood. That's what this was. And with bad comedy, just over the top comedy. JD, it has to be seen to be believed. And the fact that you haven't seen it, I'm going to correct that. So tonight on Overtime on Patreon, patreon.com/The Mike and JD Show, JD and I will actually be watching this match. I already have it queued up. We'll watch this match together because I think JD should have to watch Mr. Elegance covered in baby oil in his underwear, bobbing for pickles and an ice chest. I think JD should have to watch that. You guys are paying us $5 a month. I think JD should have to endure that. I did. Fucking JD.
I legitimately hate your guts for making me do this. You messaged me earlier. You're like, hey, you want to watch a really bad match with me? I said, sure, of course. You didn't tell me anything about bobbing for pickles.
Oh, there is a guy in a pickle suit who they call Pickle Dick.
Oh my Lord, Mike! What are you doing?
Match? Yeah. Oh yeah. We're doing this. This match is going to be one of those matches in TNA lore that is hated right now. But in like 5 years, people will just remember it and they're like, that was kind of funny. It's like, it's not a good, like, you can't call it a good match. Like, you just can't. But it's also, it's like two dogs fucking on the side of the road. You just can't not watch it.
I can easily not watch that. I can just, I will reserve judgment until later time.
Yeah.
About an hour from now.
Yes. So I'm just going to read Brian's report here and then we'll get through it. It says, pure train wreck insanity. They hurled weapons, poured suckers in the ring, used sticks, a cowbell, a giant bale of hay, wheelbarrow, and a cooler. Mr. Elegance walked around mostly naked, drenched in baby oil. ODB got tied to the bottom rope. Babyfaces waterboarded Mr. Elegance in a cooler stuffed with and stuffed the concierge in a pickle costume. Tom Hannafin yelled, "Shut up, pickle dick," at the concierge. Taryn Terrell dove off the post. Mr. Elegance attacked ODB and gyrated. ODB at that point grabbed some tongs and tonged his balls.
What?
Yes. Yeah, he was dancing over her face with his balls. She grabbed tongs and tonged his balls. And then at that point, the Elegance brand dogpiled ODB and she got pinned. But it gets better, JD. At this point, the match is over. ODB gets pinned. And Tommy Dreamer and Carlos Silva come out of the back. And they thought, this match was so great. And ODB's performance was so great. We're going to go ahead and announce that ODB is being inducted into the TNA Hall of Fame. And I don't think that there was a better time to do that than right then and there. They went ahead and like broke kayfabe, and she starts crying, and like Mickey James is all happy and Taryn Terrell's all happy. I can't wait for you to watch it. This is gonna be great. I'm like the fuck you. You got to watch Dynasty. I watched Rebellion, so like you should endure a little bit of pain because I haven't had a chance to watch Dynasty yet.
You're gonna like it. I'm just gonna not talk.
Yeah. Okay. Next match was Nick Nemeth with Bernie Kosar in his corner versus AJ Francis. JD, do you think that Bernie Kosar do you think there would be a ref bump with Bernie Kosar getting involved in this match? Do you think that would happen?
I would, if the fate of the free world rested on that, I would take the over. Like,
well,
yes,
sure enough.
I saw the chair shot that he threw too.
Ooh, it was woofy. Yeah, Bernie's in rough shape, but he stood up next to AJ Francis. I was like, I forgot how big Bernie Kosar was.
Big dude. You gotta be a quarterback in the NFL. I don't know if people really get that. Like somewhere along the lines, we got this idea that quarterbacks weren't like massive. Those are big dudes.
Oh yeah, big, strong athletes. And Bernie Kosar was a first-round draft pick out of Miami. He was a really good quarterback. He just got saddled with the Browns, and that kind of ruined his career. And then he ended up becoming a backup in the 90s. But he was really good in the 80s for sure. Mm-hmm. But like I said, in the 80s, he's old. He's really old, and he definitely was beat up in his 60s for sure.
I want to get this out there. For the record, the 80s ended 36 years ago.
Yes. Yeah. And he started in the NFL probably they didn't leave college early in the 80s that often. So he was probably 22 when he started in the NFL. And I think he joined the NFL in like 84, I want to say.
22, 85? 3. Because a lot of guys can still redshirted. Right, like a red shirt in college football is like unheard of these days, but redshirting was a bigger thing back then. Like, if you weren't like most freshmen back in the day didn't start, so I mean, like, you took that extra year. So he was not young. Yeah,
not young. So anyway, they're actually having a good match because Nemeth and Francis are actually good. They're having just a really good pro wrestling match. Crowd's super into it. They're playing off of the Nemeth being from Cleveland. He's wearing Browns gear, like the whole deal. And Francis is a good heel, so they're getting a lot of heat. And but sure enough, AJ Francis tries to introduce a chair into the ring. The ref goes to take it, and he just clobbers the ref with a chair, which causes Bernie Kosar to get into the ring. And he's about to attack Bernie Kosar, but Casey Navarro, his former tag team partner, the music plays, but late. It didn't play like right away. So like they had to like fumble around for a couple of seconds. Then finally they turn around, like Casey Navarro is coming out, and that distracts AJ Francis. And then Bernie Kosar hits him with the worst chair shot of all time, followed by the zigzag, and Nemeth gets the pin there. It was fun until the shenanigans, of course. But you had to have the shenanigans. Like the whole point of the match was to introduce Bernie Kosar. So like I guess you just had to do that. So next match totally sucked. One of the worst matches I've ever seen. Worse than the hardcore country match, because at least that was fun. Ariana Grace versus Leigh. What's that?
Really quick, Bernie Kosar, 62 years old. That was a rookie in the NFL, 1985.
85. Yeah, so we were pretty close. I thought 84, so 85. Yeah.
84 season.
Yeah. Ariana Grace versus Leigh Lee, just a really crappy match. They don't trust Ariana Grace to do anything. Stacks interfered early, of course, because another match, more interference. And they kicked him out. And then she goes to get the belt. She gets thwarted for trying to get the belt. And then she clobbered Lee behind the ref's back, throwing her in the Grace's pinned. And then Lee tried to get a pin on her. And then Zaya Brookside turns on her tag team partner, Leigh Lee, and the whole thing was just a fucking mess. The referee was looking right at Zaya Brookside as she's putting Leigh Lee's foot on the ropes. This is the goof ref, Frank Gastineau. He's just like staring at her. Just watch her do it. And then Zaya Brookside and Leigh Lee start fighting on the outside. Ref does nothing and throws her back in the ring, and Ariana Grace gets the pin. That's it.
Why do we have to, and I hate to use the term emasculate, but I can't think of a better term for it. Like, why do we have to defang refs so much? Like, they do this stuff directly in front of them and make them look so stupid. Now, if steered into this more and like spoke about how, like, if that became part of like a story, like of how incompetent, because that could be a thing that I don't think we've ever really seen in wrestling, where we openly discuss in storyline how incompetent referees are. I think that would be okay, but we don't do that. I don't know, man. It just calls the bullshit out. It takes you out of the story, to be honest with you. I don't like that.
Yeah, I like the referees to have a little bit of credibility. Like, referees have to have bad vision, obviously, because that's how you get a lot of angles done. But it was just blatant, and like the referee was not supposed to be looking right at her. He just screwed up. At least I would think so. But it was just a mess. And then after that was Eric Young comes out to cut a promo. He's calling out EC3, who's returning to the company. Lights went out. EC3 returned. He's in the suit. He has got the old music. He is the OG EC3 from 2014 to 2017. And he's lost a lot of weight. I don't know if he just got off the roids altogether, but he's leaned out quite a bit. He's got fluffy hair. Looks like he's got several 30-day chips. Like he's lived a lot since we last saw him. I didn't watch any of his Ring of Honor run, and I didn't see anything he did in NWA. So it's been a long time since I've seen this guy. And he's, the last time I saw him, he had like a shaved head and a beard. But now he's clean shaven and he's got his hair grown out on the top again. And he's trying to get back in that old character, but he's leaned out a lot. He's got a lot of tattoos and just kind of, I don't know. He looks rough. We'll see. Well, he's still in really good shape, but it's like facially, he's aged quite a bit.
To be fair, the EC3 Ring of Honor run was one day. It was that last Sinclair run Ring of Honor show before Tony took over. That was when they introduced the Controlling the Narrative.
Okay.
He has been through some stuff. I've always liked EC3. I mean, we always joke that EC3 walked so MJF could sprint. It's MJF just does the gimmick better. He's taken it further, I should say. Because EC3 did that gimmick really well. Like the original Carter the Third gimmick is a great gimmick. Like I love that whole idea. Was that Russo that came up with that? That actually is a good idea.
No, Russo was gone at that point. This was 2015. So this would have been Billy, Dave Lagana, Matt Conway, John Gabruick, that crew. Yeah.
That should do a good job with this, actually. It was actually, and it got over, like it's the highlight of his career. He's just really struggled to find himself since.
Yeah. So Dave called me out on Twitter because Dave Meltzer.
I'm not on Twitter
I know.
Anymore.
So he called me out. He quote tweeted my thing because I said, "There's like, hey, we'll see what he's still got left in the tank." I said Vince sabotaged him when he got to the main roster. And Dave quote tweeted me is like, "Well, they put him over Dean Ambrose," and I said, "Dave, they didn't let him talk, right?" And and then Dave did a video, like F4W did a video on it. And Dave's talking about our conversation that we had on Twitter. He's doing it on Wrestling Observer Radio. So I quote tweeted that. And I was like, the reason why I said he sabotaged him is because he didn't let him talk. It's like, yes, he beat Dean Ambrose, but that wasn't the same Dean Ambrose. He was on his way out. He was losing to everybody at that point. He was burnt out. He did not care. And Ambrose just buried him dead in a promo saying, "Hey, where's EC1? Where's EC2? That type of stuff." And Ambrose is the heel, and they just totally destroyed him. Now, he probably would have flopped anyway because his skill set wasn't up to par. But I don't buy it. He would have had a better shot though if they let him talk.
Yes, Sean. Okay. Let's be real. Sean Rickard, aka I was saying Eli Drake, LA Knight.
He's better than LA Knight.
He's a better worker at his peak. Right, yeah. These two were in the company in TNA at the same time. EC3 was better and more over than Eli Drake was. Right, yes. If that guy could become a superstar there, why the hell couldn't EC3 if he was given a chance? And I know, dude, I love Dave Meltzer too. Like we are Dave Meltzer fans on this. But just because you win them, and Dave will be the first one to say this is why I don't get this. Dave will be the first one to say just because you win a match doesn't mean they put you over.
Right.
They didn't do anything with EC3. They brought him up and never gave him a microphone. How that'd be like doing the same to MJF. If they never gave MJF a microphone, how would he get over? It's taking the best attribute away from him. Right? I disagree with that.
Well, it's because Dave's not a fan of his style of work, right? I don't think he's looking at it objectively. I think he's looking at it I'm not a fan of his work, and they put him over Ambrose, who I am a fan of. So that was their attempt at getting him over. And it's a lot of people were beating Ambrose at that time. And then Ambrose beat him right back the following week. And then they never did anything with him again after that.
I think it was the opposite. I think it was their way of trying to put Ambrose under, right?
Yeah.
They were trying to bear Dean Ambrose, not trying to put over EC3. And again, I think Dave I can't believe they clipped the whole Figure 4 thing, the whole Wrestling Observer Live thing about this with you. You're right on this. Like, they weren't trying to put EC3 over. They were trying to bury, John Moxley on his way out. Like,
yes,
it's ridiculous.
Yes, it is ridiculous. I should just pull it up here. I think I'm gonna look for it real quick because I thought it was interesting that he was bringing up like our little mini conversation that we had from like Twitter, our little Twitter interaction. He didn't mention me by name on there, but he was very much talking about me for sure.
Would have driven some subscribers to us. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to talk about me. I am, one of his legendary Hall of Fame voters, so he has to talk about me a little bit. I'm trying to find it. Damn it, I can't find it now.
Not great radio. Moves in there waiting around.
Yeah, I'm not prepared. Oh, here I got it. I found it. Hold on, I found it. Yeah, this is not great. This is not great audio. I apologize, everybody, but I think it'll be important for me to share screen here. All right.
Sorry.
Really?
There were 2 good matches, but the issue with the show is like every single match there's interference, and 5 of the matches on this show had some spot involving the referee. Referee gets involved here, referee gets involved there. It's just up and down the show all night long.
A big problem with pro wrestling now is that it's a whole bunch of people in control of pro wrestling who, when they grew up, they only watched WWE. So they think that they only know one way to do it because they're bringing EC3 back. All these people are like talking about how Vince screwed EC3. And it's like, the dude sucked. Okay. He was on the main roster. He got a chance and he sucked. Okay. Now I know he's a great promo, but when you're in WWE there's basically you have to be at least a decent wrestler.
This show was terrible, dude.
No.
Yeah. So that was their conversation. And I'm just like,
that feels like they're trying. Like, there's plenty of people that have gotten. I'm sorry, Mike. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Danhausen one of the most popular acts on the roster right now?
Yes. And if they didn't let Danhausen talk, do you think he would have gotten over?
No, and that's what we talked about when it happened. We both said that admittedly disastrous and purpose debut would only be fine if they let him just be Danhausen every week after. And what happened? They let him be Danhausen.
Yes.
Like I said before, LA Knight is not good. There's all kinds. Dude, Jey Uso is terrible.
Yes.
Like, why are we pretending? Why are we pretending that there's that you have to be a great worker in that company to get over? Like, they took the one thing that they're good at, really, is promos. WWE is a company where they script your promos and they get people, like, it's the whole show's about promos on there and backstage segments. And they never let him do any of it. I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe they gave EC3 a fair shot. Now, you could say he didn't deserve a fair shot and he shouldn't have been signed there to begin with, which is fine. But you can't tell me that Vince gave him a legit chance to get over. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Not in a million years.
No. I agree. We need to burn through the rest of this rebellion. So we can get to the Dynasty review. Yeah, we've been going a long time. All right, Trey Miguel, Mustafa Ali defeated Trey Miguel for the TNA International title. Brian didn't like this match. I did. So this is the one match where I disagree with him on. He just did not like the layout of the match, and I thought that the layout of the match was fine. The only problem is again, Tasha Steelz distracted the ref, and the Great Hands hit Trey with a helmet behind the ref's back, and then Ali got a 450 for the pin. So again, overbooking. Like, it wouldn't be so bad if they didn't do this for every single match already. So just too much. But I still liked Ali versus Trey Miguel. Hardys versus the System. Hardys were selling a beatdown from 2 nights before from the tables match with the Righteous. And so they come out like all taped up and limping and barely moving. And the System just beat them clean in 8 minutes. Just like the Hardys barely got any offense in. And then they got a little bit of a comeback, and then the System cut them off and they just beat them clean. So it was really the only match that actually made sense, but it was one of the worst matches on the show because it was just like an 8-minute, nothing happening, didn't do a whole lot, just Hardy's selling injuries like the whole time. But the System, that'd be Brian Myers and Bear Bronson, are now the tag team champions. And then the biggest disappointment of the night, Mike Santana versus Eddie Edwards. When Mike Santana is coming out through his entrance. He comes out through the crowd. He's got that look on his face, and I thought he was gonna lose, like one of those faces, like he's about to lose. He ends up winning. So the look that he had on his face was him telling the audience, "I didn't book the shit. I'm gonna work my ass off, but I know that this is about to be crap." And it was. The crowd's dead. It's after 11 o'clock. Him and Eddie are working hard. They're doing big matches on the concrete. They're fighting through the crowd. They're hitting all their moves. And then, so right before the match, Alicia Edwards and Moose. So here's the big story. The system turns heel. They turn heel on Moose. Alicia Edwards disagrees with that. She joins Moose. She is now Moose's manager, despite being Eddie Edwards' wife. The entire time, the audience, like, we know that Alicia's going to turn on Moose at some point and join Eddie, right? Like that's been the story. They've been working it, and Moose is an idiot. So right before the match, Moose and Alicia Edwards are in the back. Alicia Edwards hurt her ankle the earlier. Moose is trying to get her out of the buildings. Like, hey, we don't need to be here. Let's get you to a hospital. She's like, no, I need to stay and watch the main event. It's important. Can you go get me something to drink? He leaves to go get her something to drink. And then the crowd, the camera just cuts off at that point. So they're doing the match, and then halfway through the match, Alicia Edwards comes out on crutches. And then Moose, all of a sudden, his music hits. He comes out. He shows the video up on the big screen of where the camera cuts off. The camera then turns back on and is videoing Alicia Edwards, who's on the phone with Eddie talking about their plan tonight to screw over Mike Santana. So Moose has actually outsmarted somebody for the fucking first time in his life, right? He tried to outsmart me, but he couldn't outsmart me. Yeah. Yeah, that's how we know it's bullshit. So he comes down and he's trying to get Alicia out of there, but then the system attacks. So now there's got this big schmoz happening. The system in the ring, they're attacking. The ref is being distracted. All kinds of shenanigans are happening. And Eddie hits a Boston knee party on Santana. I'm sorry. Santana hits his rolling clothesline that he's got, the spin the block clothesline. He's getting ready to cover Eddie. The Alice Lane, the good ref, goes 1-2. Alicia Edwards is supposed to pull her out of the ring, but she's fucking nowhere to be found. So Alice Lane, the referee, pulls herself out of the ring. And then Alicia catches her like a half a second late. So, but the way that they angled the camera, like if you didn't know, you may not be completely aware that they screwed up. Just the way they shot it, if you weren't like completely paying attention, but like those of us that watch intently, like we saw what happened. And Alice Lane, the referee, pulled herself out of the ring in the middle of her count to try to keep the match going. So the whole thing just falls apart. It's such dog shit. They get a couple more near falls. Mike Santana hits Eddie Edwards with a spin the block, gets the victory. He's not happy. Show goes off the air from there. Just a ton of shenanigans in literally every single match, except for the Hardys match, which was the most nothing match of the show. Okay, we got 9 minutes to get through Dynasty. So I'm sorry, we went way too long on Rebellion.
That's fine. Most people listen to us for TNA crap anyway.
Yeah.
All right, let's do Dynasty. The Bucks beat the Don Callis family, Kinosuke Takeshita, and Kazuchika Okada. Okada and Teska finally officially split. We're probably going to get that match soon. Chris Jericho wrestled Ricochet, came back. Jericho looked pretty good. Like he's 55 or whatever. But
he's got the double nickel, so he actually looked pretty good, huh?
Yeah, he's actually looking all right. Like he's moving much. He's in a Ricochet, right?
Yeah. A friend of the show during that match was really upset that Jericho looked good. He goes, "We need Nick Houseman back to get rid of this guy."
I don't like Jericho's politics either. But he's freaking harmless. Like I just hate living in this era where anybody who votes differently than me shouldn't have a job. Like I just vehemently disagree with that. Like I don't think people who think different than me should starve. I just
same here. Like if I'm hiring people, I'm probably not going to check their voter registration to see which one they clicked R or D. Like I don't care.
Right. I mean,
is he a criminal?
No. He might be an idiot. He's not a criminal. Yeah.
Is he hard to work with? No. Is he being mean to people? No. Okay. Does he get over? Yes. Okay. Then what are we doing?
And then he put over Ricochet, which I'm sure made. I hate to the IWC. I think it's so lame because if you're listening to this show, you're part of it. Like, Then so Jericho makes his big comeback and immediately puts over Ricochet. Like, but again, Jericho knows He can get over anytime. Someone goes January 6th wife. His wife was at January 6th. She didn't break into the Capitol. There was a lot of stupid motherfuckers that were at January 6th. Ain't none of them. There's a difference between people who tried to literally break into the Capitol and people who were just there. So whatever. That's life. It's whatever, man. Right. People get targeted anyway, so it's fine. Targeted fine.
So Ricochet wins that one. Next, we got Andrade and Darby.
Bro. This might be one of my favorite matches of the year. I love this match. My kid, Andy's huge Darby. Right.
So is he going to be watching on Wednesday? Because it looks like Darby's winning the title on Wednesday.
So Andy's sitting here with me. Andy.
Okay, give him on. Give him a microphone.
Come here.
Wait, I'm going for a Hail Mary.
You're going for I'm sorry. He's playing a video game. He's going for a Hail Mary.
Well, don't mess up his video game, dude.
Okay, come here. Hey, Darby is getting a title match on Wednesday Night Dynamite. What do you think about that? Look at the camera. What's your vibe on that?
Nice.
You think he's going to win finally?
Hopefully. He's had way too many shots.
Yes,
I agree. Yeah, they're not getting behind him enough, I think.
Do you think it's time to put the belt on Darby Allin?
Yeah.
Because
he needs more than TNT belt.
He needs more than TNT belt. I agree with you.
In the tag team championship.
Okay, go back to your game. Thanks for Dynamite dropping. I agree with him. He right away because he likes Kenny, but when Darby came out to challenge, he was like, MJF has to win. And it was all of his support for Kenny Omega went out the window at the mere hint that Darby might be getting a title match.
Nice.
Your son is spot on. My son loves Darby Allin. This Darby Andrade match was fantastic. These two tried to kill themselves. They played off the Andrade selfie spot with the cute. It's always a cute Latino girl at the main side, right? They always have a plan there. It was awesome. They did it, and then Darby did a coffin drop out of camera range. So all of a sudden, you just see the girl's face go and then Darby. It was so amazingly shot. We get an AEW for blowing shots all the time. They nailed this one. It was great.
Nice.
Andrade is wrestling the best I've ever seen him wrestle.
He looks great. Yeah, he's fantastic.
He looks great. He's moving great. I'm pretty sure because they ended the match with a handshake. I'm pretty sure they're turning Andrade because the crowd kind of likes him. Why put him with Don Callis? He's part of United Empire of New Japan anyway, who's already been established in this company as babyfaces. So I'm pretty sure the Andrade heel turn is coming. And this was again as clean as a Darby match is ever going to be.
Yeah.
It's always going to be ridiculous, but there was no outside interference. It was just two dudes wrestling and trying to absolutely murder each other. Awesome. And my favorite match of the show, actually.
I heard Andrade had a boner the entire time. That's what the streets are telling me. You can't say it because you got the boy next to you, but that's what I heard.
Can I be real? Can I be real with you, Mike? I wasn't really paying attention.
Okay.
It's possible.
JD, what I need you to do is just go back and rewatch the match, but just focus in on the boner. Just give us a report back. I think that would be great.
The package. I think years of amateur wrestling have trained my eyes to look away from those kind of things protruding from gear. So I honestly didn't notice. All right, AEW tag titles. FTR over Christian Cage and Adam Copeland. I imagine we're going to get that three-way at Double or Nothing for I imagine ladder match. It's coming. This felt like perfunctory. Kevin Knight surprisingly wins the Casino Gauntlet match. I love these gauntlets.
I'm excited because I've been a Kevin Knight guy since he was doing TNA back in the day when TNA was working with New Japan, and I was just on his side. I think that this TNT title needs to be about guys like Kevin Knight. That's who should be winning that. Kyle Fletcher is beyond it. He should be in that main title picture scene. When he comes back from injury, he never should win that title again. Unless he's on his way down.
This TNT title is more like the WCW TV title to me.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And it always bothered me when Lex Luger would hold the TV title. It's Lex doesn't need that. That needs to be on Steven Regal and Alex Wright. Those are the guys that needed to hold that belt. So I'm with you 100%. I think Kevin Knight, man, he's so good in the ring. He's made Mike Bailey passable to me. So I'm really curious. I hope he gets a chance to really let a little bit of personality showcase with this belt. So it's cool. we're giving the young guy a shot. Women's World Title match, Tekla, Jamie Hayter. These two have amazing chemistry. It was awesome. Yeah. I'm a huge Tekla fan. I think
she's fantastic. Yeah.
Like, she has an amazing look. She has fantastic charisma. Like, I'm a big fan of hers. I'm a big fan of Tekla. And I really think that I like that they're taking the time to really establish Tekla as kind of the goods. Because when Tony comes back, we can have something. And then Mercedes is coming back too. You can have a thing with Mercedes. You can have Mercedes and Tekla, and then you bring Tony back, and now you have 3 major stars, 4 if you include Statlander. So this women's division is really moving in the right direction. Big fan of this. Mox over Ospreay for the Continental belt, which is kind of like our U.S. title.
That shocked me. Good. Yeah, I thought so too, especially if he's going to be in the main event of Wembley, which I think they should do. Yeah. It's his time, but maybe this is just part of that journey, and he's going to win the Owen, and he's going to get to it. And Jeff Hawkins, I did his show, Shake Them Ropes, Voices of Wrestling Network. I did a show on Friday night, and that was his prediction. He actually called it. He said, I think Moxley's going to win because it's going to be a setback for Will, but he's going to get into the Owen tournament, win that, and then he's going to be able to get the title shot at Wembley.
I can see that because Tony has a tendency to make people lose a lot before really heating them up. Yeah. So they and again, guys, we had twice in this show where people had their comeback matches and dropped. Like, this was Will's big comeback pay-per-view against Mox, and it was like, oh wow, he lost. So some surprising results on this show. Again, we're rocket firing through these things. Yeah. It's more to talk about bad TNA wrestling. The World Trios Championship conglomeration returning Kyle O'Reilly beat the Dogs. I don't mind that the Trios title gets hot swapped a lot. I think that Trios should be hot swapped. Yeah. It looks like Gabe Kidd, who I fucking love. He's out. Yeah. Looks like he dislocated his shoulder. We got to kind of see the thing with shoulder injuries, right? Sometimes they dislocate and relocate, and it's just a thing. Sometimes it's torn labrum, which can be a major surgery and a lot of time out. So we're gonna have to see.
There's mine right there. I got my big scar right there, and then that was my labrum, and then I did a scope on this shoulder, so I know exactly what he's going through, and I dislocated both of them multiple times.
Yeah, a shoulder, like a labrum surgery, that could be an 8 to 9 month rehabilitation process. Yeah. So we got to kind of let it play out. Max MJF over Kenny Omega. I actually like the first match better than the first time they wrestled. I think that I don't think Kenny had boo-boo face or like that. I just think the first match was a little bit better. A little bit of shenanigans at the end. Like, it doesn't bother me with Max as much because, like, that's kind of the character, is that he's like a fighter that, like, he feels like he needs to do that to win. Like, I'm okay if we save it just for him. So, whatever. I didn't love it. It wasn't my favorite. It wasn't horrible by any stretch of the imagination. I didn't have a lot of faith in Kenny. I did originally. I did think Kenny was going to win this for sure. We talked. Mike went on saying he thought Kenny was going to win this match. A couple weeks ago, said that. Yeah. And then as soon as they started the Darby stuff, my went up. I do think MJF versus Will is the match at Wembley. Because why take it off MJF? MJF is doing great. I hope the boys are listening to me right now, but I do not think that Darby will win this time around. I think we have to start getting the focus on Will and keep Max's mad title reign, like his King Joffrey title reign. Yeah. Because it's working.
Well, the guy's on a heater. He really is. I don't think he could take.
He's drawing his champ. Like
he's drawing his champ. He's performing well. The promos are good. The matches are excellent. Mm-hmm. He is EC3, but a million times better. He stole that character fair and square because EC3 wasn't using it because Vince wouldn't let him talk. So MJF just yoinked it, and then EC3 saw how good he was doing it and just gave it up completely. But now he's back using it. So, but he was doing it. He just improved it, stuck the landing on it, and then he's just a way better in-ring wrestler. He's one of the great performers of this generation. He's fantastic.
He really is. And MJF has grown into the little rich, because the little rich boy character isn't new. Like, it's not terrible than what Buddy Rogers was doing in the 50s.
Yeah, Jim Cornette was doing it. And
it's a tried and true wrestling gimmick, but MJF has propelled that. Now he's not really just a little rich boy character. He's basically I'll say it, he's our generation's Flair.
Yeah.
He really is. Like, he's setting matches with everybody. He's a super over heel. He's cutting great promos. Like, I don't think I'm nuts when I say this. I think we can really start drawing a lot of connections with MJF and Ric Flair right now. Call me an idiot. I firmly believe this.
Yeah. All right. We got a couple supers and then we need to get out of here. And then we're going to head to Patreon, patreon.com/the Mike and JD show. If you're not a subscriber, you're going to want to be because I'm making JD watch the hardcore country match. He deserves this pain.
I hate it.
He got to watch Dynasty and I watched Rebellion.
TNA life, man. I
did. Yeah. Let's see. Glassdoor Gamer hit us with two more. Tommy Dreamer's version of 2005 ECW. So he is turning TNA into like I think what he wanted that reboot of ECW to be. He even brought back Tiffany, which I learned from Brian Alvarez that Taryn Terrell was Tiffany in the WWE. I didn't know that.
I was about to say, who the fuck is Tiffany?
Yeah, it was Taryn Terrell. I did not know that Taryn Terrell was in ECW. I had no idea.
You think I watched 2005 ECW? Come on, man. Like
I did because I was watching everything, but I clearly didn't remember that character.
Yeah. I watched the first episode. Like again, the pay-per-view was great. The 2 pay-per-views were awesome. The One Night Stand. One Night Stand.
Yeah, One Night Stand. Yeah.
Yeah. The first episode, right? I went there and I'm like, this is bad. I watched the episode where Punk debuted, and I'm like, this show blows. And I never watched it. It was
bad. Yeah. All right. And then he goes, by the end of the year, which one of these guys will be running TNA? Which one do you prefer? Bischoff, Russo, Jimmy Jacobs, or Road Dogg? Of those 4 guys, I would probably say Bischoff because I think that he at least is like a visionary. Like Russo is creative, but he just throws shit up against the wall. I think Bischoff does a good job of producing television, right? And Nitro was just great. But then again, he did come into TNA in 2010 and he bombed, But he did have some good ideas. Like I like the way they shot some stuff, but I think like Hogan booking it was just, or whoever was booking it was just brutal. It wasn't Bischoff, but yeah.
Bischoff's not going anywhere. Bischoff's actually doing a pretty decent job running RAF. Right,
yeah.
Real American Freestyle. Like, it's working.
Yeah.
It's strong. I don't like a lot of the matches because it's too many like influencer. Like they've taken the influencer boxing match and brought it over to wrestling, and I'm not a fan of that. There's too many MMA guys who aren't actually good freestyle wrestlers that I'm not a huge. I should like RAF more than I do. I don't hate it, but it's like a little too sideshowy for me. But they're working, they're drawing, they're selling tickets, they got a TV deal. So listen to JD. Eric Bischoff and Izzy Martinez are doing a pretty good day job.
All right, I got to run. We'll be back on Patreon. Got to go.
See ya.
Yep, we're out. My opinion has not changed, and as you can see, I'm Moose's favorite podcaster for sure. He went in on me yesterday, and that's fine. He went in on me because he is not intelligent. so like I think he went to Syracuse, but I don't think he actually went to class. Like I don't know that for a fact. They just, that's my feeling on the situation. Like he couldn't be like very intelligent if he took my tweet yesterday where I said that if and I said this twice, I was pretty clear, that if talent is being pulled from shows, they're missing dates, and they're not being paid for that, they're not being made whole, then every person in that company should no-show Rebellion. And I mean that. Like I'm not going back on that. I said if that situation is happening. Some of that is happening, but it's not as big as we thought. A lot of matches are being changed. A lot of people I think the folks that were booked for Maple Leaf Pro, they're not going to be able to do Maple Leaf Pro, and I'll get into all that stuff. But there's a lot to this story, and I don't have like inside information on this story, so I just know what is out there, and I can just tell you just what I think from my perspective. And I know I didn't listen to the flagship last night. I know Joe and Rich probably went on for like 2 hours about this thing. I did not listen to it because what I didn't want is for me to listen to it and then for me to parrot their opinions. So everything that I'm going to say tonight is completely like original opinion by me. Okay. So here's what happened. Let's get into this shit. So TNA, when you sign with TNA for the most part, other than your tippy top guys like your Nick Nemeths, Moose, AJ Francis, Eddie Edwards, Elijah, probably Frankie Kazarian, like guys like that. If you're not one of those people, like in their like top 10 or 12, you're not making a ton of money. You're essentially just making whatever your independent rate is. And this is verified fact, by the way, by several talent that has worked there recently that has left and has gone to other places. And I'm not suggesting that that's a bad way to do things when you're a company the size of TNA. I think that's fine. But a lot of them, they just make their whatever their independent rate is, and they just get guaranteed dates. So it's like, hey, your independent rate's $1,000. Okay, well, we'll give you 30 dates. They get you $30,000. You can use our platform to then go out and work all these other places, and then you should be able to make a decent living that way. Then you go out and you sell your gimmicks, your t-shirts, your toys, autographs. For some of the ladies, OnlyFans. That's not the worst deal, right? And so that's why a lot of these young talent that are trying to make it, they sign with TNA. Because, hey, I can go on there. I can work with some good talent. I can learn how to work TV. I can ply my trade. I'm not making a ton of dough with this company, but this company is giving me their platform, and then I could parlay that into making a lot of money elsewhere, right? And TNA has been good since like 2018 with very little issues. Very little. When Scott D'Amore took over, he eliminated some issues. I'm going to get into what those issues were in a little bit. But for a good, 8-year period, that formula has worked. Occasionally they run into some stuff like TNA, they don't get their schedule out very far in advance. And so they end up creating their schedule, and like people already have bookings. And so they have had to pull people back from those bookings because they need them for their TV. That has caused issue, but they always figured it out, right? And that's an understandable issue. So what happened is that they had some wrestlers working Creative Pro, MJF and Nick Nemeth, obviously, on May 1st, I believe. April 16th, Ricochet and Leon Slater. There was another match that was supposed to happen between Bear Bronson and MJF. And Moose was supposed to work Maple Leaf Pro over WrestleMania weekend against an AEW wrestler that has not been named for sure. We don't know who that name is. I get the feeling that's going to get out. And these matches have been, some of them were announced. The Moose match was not announced, but most of them had been announced. They've been advertised. Tickets were already sold. Finishes were agreed upon by both AEW and TNA. Everything was agreed upon, right? And then for whatever reason, on Monday or Tuesday, it comes out that Moose was being pulled from Maple Leaf Pro. Just straight up pulled. And it's because he's not allowed to wrestle an AEW wrestler. And we're like, that's weird. Because 2 weeks ago, Mercedes Moné wrestled Jody Threat, and Jody Threat won. And then like a week or two before that, Deonna Purrazzo, the women's pure champion, wrestled Indy Hartwell in like New York or some shit. And Indy Hartwell won. Those matches didn't get pulled. So what's the problem? And these matches were all agreed upon. Everything was good, but all of a sudden TNA decided that they didn't want the matches to happen. And so that comes out, and then all of a sudden it starts getting reported that Leon Slater versus Ricochet is in danger. MJF versus Nick Nemeth is in danger. I figured that the Nick Nemeth and MJF one was safe because Nemeth is high ranking. You know what I mean? Like he's tippy top guy in that company. But no, sure enough, like that got pulled. The Ricochet match with Leon, that ended up getting pulled as of right now. The Ricochet, like Leon Slater's not on that card right now. So as of right now, he's losing a booking, which then he's losing money and he's losing income from selling his merchandise. As of right now, by the time I get off the air, they could have already have another match announced for Leon Slater, but he might not be able to make that show. It's like the March Hitchcock Memorial Show during WrestleCon. Not a charity, by the way. The promoter keeps that money. Not a charity. but a memorial show. But everybody's buying tickets to that show for that match. And so Sean Ross Sapp, being the journalist that he is, like he did his job. And he got a hold of Carlos Silva to ask why. Because people are running rampant with speculation. And I kind of like was assuming that when it originally came out, I was like, okay, this has nothing to do with AEW. This is very much Moose is getting pulled from Maple Leaf Pro because they don't trust Scott D'Amore. Scott D'Amore has not had TNA wrestlers' best interest since he's started Maple Leaf Pro. They always come in and they're losing to the AEW wrestlers every time, right? Like they had Josh losing to Takeshita, Speedball losing to Takeshita. I think Rich Swann just lost to Ricochet on that show. Like every time TNA sends their talent over there, Scott likes to job them out to AEW. And AEW and Maple Leaf Pro are in a full-blown partnership. Maple Leaf Pro is on TSN now. Oh, and by the way, when they did let Rich Swann work the taping, and Mackin was supposed to work the latest taping, but he got hurt. I don't think TNA knew this at the time, but that was actually a Ring of Honor taping. So like their talent was it was a joint show with Ring of Honor. And so now you got TNA talent working on Ring of Honor television, essentially. And Maple Leaf Pro is on their episodes. Not only are they on Triller, but some of the older ones are on the Ring of Honor streaming service, whatever it's called, Ring of Honor Plus, whatever. I don't know. Honor something. I can't remember what it is, but that's what I've never been a subscriber. Sorry. So pulling your talent from Maple Leaf Pro makes sense. I honestly it's probably something they needed to do a while ago. The two companies don't like each other. They're baby facing in public, but TNA doesn't like Scott. Scott doesn't like them. They're clashing, and then when Scott announced that Steve Macklin was set to be on the TV tapings the next night, about an hour before Steve Macklin was supposed to be in the main event of Sacrifice, where if he would have won that world title, he would have needed to be at TNA's tapings at the same time. So they made that announcement, kind of undercutting the main event. That would piss me off. Like, I get that. Like, don't do business with those people. That makes sense to me. Like they don't like you don't like them. You guys are fucking each other over. Like, just don't. There's no reason to do business there. But the March Hitchcock show, Creative Pro, Game Changer. Like, you're not letting your wrestlers wrestle AEW wrestlers on those shows. Why? It makes no sense. Well, Sean Ross Sapp reached out to Carlos Silva, and he got an answer. It said it's due to partner conflicts. No elaboration. No information other than that, just partner conflicts. So what partner are we talking about? Could it possibly be that AMC saw the lineup for WrestleCon and was like, I really don't want Leon Slater wrestling Ricochet in front of maybe 1,500 people live and maybe 5,000 people around the world. Because if he loses, that could be devastating to our brand. Could AMC been the culprit here? Not likely. So why did that match get pulled? Why did Nemeth and MJF get pulled? Partner conflicts. What partner are we talking about? Who the fuck do you think we're talking about? It's very clear that Carlos Silva got a call from Stamford, Connecticut. It's very clear. And if he didn't, then he needs to elaborate on what partner conflicts are talking about. Is he talking about like a sponsorship, or is he talking about something else? Could it be like Sportsnet, which that's not airing on TSN? That wouldn't make sense. This is how WWE's done business forever. They don't let their talent work with rival talent from rival promotions. They just don't let it happen. Right. So he says partner conflicts. Well, who is he talking about? Of course, he's talking about WWE. Of course. Now, some people, like Jimmy Corderas, is saying that it's not WWE It's like, he's saying, well, I know who it is, but I'm not telling you. I was like, oh, well, you're not helpful. It's like, you're just talking to talk. You don't know. Like when you say that, you don't actually know the answer. I know David Penzer. I like David Penzer. He and I get along well. We argue sometimes, but I try to learn from him because he's in the business for a long time. He's saying maybe the partner conflicts is AMC. I just don't think that AMC executives care what TNA talent is doing on independent shows. And look, it's 2026. Does anybody really care if your talent loses to another, like the wins and loss rate of independent shows? Like if Leon Slater lost to Ricochet, which we don't know what the finish was. If Leon Slater lost to Ricochet, is that going to make Leon Slater less popular? Are people going to say, well, I can't watch TNA because Ricochet defeated Leon Slater. Now I'm just not going to watch? Of course not. Of course not. Would anybody care if Nick Nemeth lost to MJF? No. Nick Nemeth loses a lot of matches. So, like, he's protected on TNA, but nobody cares if you lose an independent match. It makes no sense. Now, the other theory was, and that's being floated, I think Sean's actually reporting this, not that like that it's like exact, but that people think this. This is what he's saying. That Carlos Silva was upset that AEW ran opposition this past Thursday. And the timeline would fit. The timeline does fit because the matches were agreed upon before then. They ran opposition on Thursday. Kind of TNA takes a little bit of a dip, not a substantial dip in the total viewership, although they did retain their demo rating. So they weren't hurt at all. But the Carlos Silva is upset at that. I just don't think that's true. I'm not trying to question Sean's reporting. I'm sure Sean was told that, probably by more than one person, for sure. I just can't wrap my head around that being the possibility, because if that's a possibility, then Carlos Silva is incredibly stupid. He's a stupid person. I've met Carlos Silva. I've talked to him. I've had a good conversation with him. He's a very nice guy. I don't think that he's a stupid person. So I'm just not willing to get there on that one, because then that would mean that Carlos is completely stupid. So the only thing that we have left is that that Carlos is on some big ego trip, and the old school brothers that work there, some of the executives that are from the 90s, a bygone era, are getting in his head saying, hey, if you let these wrestlers wrestle AEW stars and AEW beats them, which isn't always the case. Like we've just proven, we've like, there's no policy in AEW where you have to win all your matches, even against TNA wrestlers, because Mercedes Moné just lost to Jody Threat. Deonna Purrazzo, who holds a title belt. They have 10,000, but it's a title belt. It just lost to Indy Hartwell, because nobody cares about who wins and loses these matches. Now, I'm sure there's been times, like I'm sure like Carlos or Tony's not going to let MJF lose on an indie show. And if it gets to the point where like you guys can't agree on the finish, then you can't agree on the match, that's fine. Then you just don't approve it, right? So the timeline is really the bad thing here. So I'm not buying the Thursday night collision, Thursday night war thing. I don't think that's the case. I just can't get to a point where I believe that. And I'm not trying to insult Sean. I just don't believe that. So I also don't think the TNA really cares about who wins and loses these matches, because they approved it already. They already approved it. Everybody was good. The matches, the finishes, the locations, the opponents, everything had already been approved. So then what changed? It had to be WWE. Like, that's the only thing that makes sense. WWE had to put a stop on this. And if that's the case, and if Carlos Silva put a stop to this because he got a call from his partner, then only one of two things can be true. the TNA is no longer a sovereign promotion. They are no longer their own promotion. They are being completely controlled by WWE. And if you're a TNA wrestler and you're wrestling for TNA, but it's being controlled by WWE, you should really look at your paychecks and try to get the name on the paycheck to be WWE. And then you just got to start fighting for some more money, because if WWE is the one that's actually running this company, then you need to get WWE money for sure. If that's the case, because if WWE can call Carlos Silva, and then at this point, he's the president, but the president of what? Like a proxy regime? He's that makes you a puppet. Like, you're not a president of a company if you can't make your own decisions. If you can get forced by a foreign power to hurt your wrestlers, hurt independent promotions, oh, and by the way, hurt yourself and be completely humiliated for days where you look like a dick, all because WWE told you had to do it. They have some type of power over you that you can't get out of, because now you're being humiliated. And that sucks, because he's a nice guy. He's a good guy. He wants the best for this company. I know that for a fact. Legit. So WWE has a significant power over this company. Either they are in complete control, TNA is no longer a sovereign company, or they got some type of power over Carlos himself. I don't know. I'm not like getting conspiracy brain on this thing, but like, clearly, if Carlos is willing to humiliate himself, humiliate his company, bury his wrestlers, right? Bury his company, bury his partner, because he's the one that said no, his partner conflicts. So everybody's getting, like, nobody looks good in this situation. He's willing to do all of this. Like, WWE has some type of hold on TNA and hold on him for sure. Right? Like, that's the only thing that makes sense. He went back on his word in public and had to go back to his wrestlers. Like, I know I told you yes, but I have to tell you no. And now we're not really explaining why. And some people think, oh, the explanation will come eventually. I think it's going to get buried. And then, look, the news cycle moves fast, right? And I think that's what TNA is counting on. They're counting on the news cycle to move quickly to where they're not going to be buried for too long. Here is the problem. Yes, the news cycle will move on. Headlines will change. SmackDown's already on, and Pat McAfee saying some stupid shit. And that's going to, knock TNA off the headlines. But guess who's not going to forget? The wrestlers that currently work there. Sean Ross Sapp already said that we just had 2 female wrestlers in the span of 2 months, Dani Luna and Steph DeLander, leave the promotion. Steph DeLander over working conditions. And he's saying that more wrestlers, probably lower level, like day rate type wrestlers that are on these smaller contracts, are going to be leaving for workplace conditions reasons, whether it be pay or the TNA fucking with their bookings, spot on the card. Like, there's all kinds of reasons, but it's going to be your low day rate type people, and that more people are going to be asking for their release, and it's because of situations like this. This is a disaster. So now, like, so your current wrestlers are going to remember this, and they're going to ask, and some of them are going to ask out. There will be some that ask out. That's being reported. You can check it. Fightful Select. That's being reported. Okay. And then you're creating a barrier from younger wrestlers hoping to make it from signing with your company. They're going to be advised not to do that. Oh, and by the way, independent wrestling promoters are going to be advised not to work with you. They're not going to want to book your wrestlers. So now you're taking more food out of their mouths. And they're already struggling to begin with. These younger wrestlers are not making a ton of dough. And again, I'm not talking like AJ Francis was on Twitter saying, oh, I make a lot of money. Well, we're not talking about you, bro. Like, you're a former football player that went through the Fed system. Of course you're being taken care of. I'm talking about I'm talking about Jason Hotch, John Scott, like guys that have never been to the WWE, guys that didn't come from the NFL, guys that just love this fucking business, that are working hard and working their way up to try to make it in this profession. Like those are the types of people that are going to get hurt. Jada Stone, you know, like those are the people that are getting fucked with. Leon Slater, whom I'm pretty sure is going to be WWE bound. He probably can't wait to get there after this fiasco. This situation is not unusual. It's not unique to this current regime. Ed Nordholm had to learn this lesson a long time ago. The same lesson that Carlos Silva is learning, Ed Nordholm is learning, or Ed Nordholm already had to go through it. And when you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. And sure enough, you know, people forget about 2017 Ed Nordholm when the Hardy Boys are on their way out and they're booked for a Ring of Honor show. But TNA, Ed Nordholm, Jeff Jarrett, decided to go ahead and put a cease and desist against Ring of Honor from using the Hardy Boys because they were going to be in their Broken Hardys gimmick. And so they couldn't do it. They got pulled. And the wrestling world turned against them. There was already people struggling to give this company a chance. And then they did that and they just got fucking buried. Right. Jeff Jarrett ends up getting fired. Like they can't beg people to come to the shows. Jarrett has to go. It wasn't just that situation. Jeff had a drinking problem, but there was more, like that was a big part of like the whole deal. Nordholm fucking got buried 6 feet under, and Rebecca Hardy goes scorched earth on him. F that owl. The whole situation. It was incredible to watch play out on social media. It got so fucking bad. They like at one point Anthem was like in 2017 was just going to sell the fucking thing because they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know what they got themselves into. And so Scott D'Amore and Don Callis come in and they take over and they rebuilt all these broken relationships that Dixie and Ed Nordholm and other people, dickheads, had messed up. You know, he's going back and he's begging New Japan. You know, he's working with AAA. He got Noah back on board and working with all these independent promotions. He signed over all the IP for the wrestlers that are coming in because they're not getting paid that much money. So the least you can do is sign over their gimmicks, sign over their IP that they create on your show. That way they can go use it elsewhere. And it took a long time. It literally took what? Well, that was started in 2018 when that slow rebuild, right? And then you get into the pandemic, and like 2023 is really when TNA, like Impact Wrestling, they start doing like bigger shows, and like they got some momentum. New Japan's on board. You know, for a time they had AEW on board. They're working with like tons of independent wrestlers, and then like people were excited. Like they were still getting the TNA LOL but this for booking reasons and for production reasons. But you know, people thought that like inside the business, that Scott D'Amore was a good guy and they wanted to work with him, right? And the pay wasn't good, but at least like you felt that Scott D'Amore was going to take care of you and he wasn't going to fuck up your bookings, which he didn't do. So now fast forward, Carlos Silva is going through the same situation. He's getting buried 6 fucking feet under, and all you guys out there throwing yourself on the train tracks trying to stop this from going, you guys are fucking wasting your time. He's got to feel it. A lot of times this is how you learn to get better. You got to feel the harmful consequences, and he's feeling it right now. I don't think that this policy, unless this is a complete WWE call, then that's it. Then it's done. But if this is just a Carlos Silva call, it's like, man, welcome to the wrestling business. You just fucked up. And you're getting buried 6 feet under. MJF went scorched earth on him. It was fucking hilarious. Fucking hilarious. MJF, who was upset about the 2 matches being pulled, responded to the claim that TNA made the call due to AEW's Collision airing on April 2nd, head-to-head for 1 hour with Impact. The problem with this being the reason for pulling the talent makes no sense. First, this time slot change is due to the Final Four on TNT on April 4th, which was known about for weeks. If that really was the reason why Carlos Silva did this, like, and I don't think that, I can't believe it because that would mean he's stupid, and he's not stupid. TNT has always moved Collision to Thursday a few times a year when they have live sports on Saturdays, and at times to avoid putting Collision against major WWE shows, although of late they've moved it less often to get away from WWE. A lot of the TNA talent was unhappy about this. how it all went down, although nobody has said anything to management publicly or about management publicly responding to claims AEW purposely went head-to-head with them, which TNA defenders said, but obviously it was a preemption for basketball, and this will happen again since TNT does this a few times a year. MJF wrote, it's called being preempted due to March Madness. The Silva guy is actively a dumb motherfucker. Congrats. You pay your talents shit, then force them off shows where they can make money. He also went on Busted Open Radio, and said, let's talk about TNA and the fact that they're pulling young talent. I hope he's not talking about Nick Nemeth because he's not young. Off of shows when they're barely paying them any money whatsoever and telling them, hey, you can't wrestle because there's a guy from another promotion that's wrestling on the show. Not exactly how it's going down. They don't want TNA talent wrestling AEW talent. Does that help young talent grow? Does that help young talent become better inside the squared circle? Moreover, does that help young talent put food on their table so they can eat? What Carlos Silva is doing is disgusting, and if anybody supports him or that company at this point, it's very hard for me to wrap my head around. Look, all I'll say is so far only one talent, maybe two. Leon Slater might have been pulled completely. I'm not sure. Moose has been pulled. Moose is full-time salary. Moose is going to be fine. And I think that's why he was so upset at me, even though I was advocating for him, dummy. I think that's why he was so upset at me when I called for a rebellion at Rebellion. I called for a mutiny over this, which I still stand by. So far, he's the only one that we know of that's been completely pulled. Other shows have been just the matches have been changed. Like, you can't wrestle this person; he's got to wrestle somebody else. Although Leon Slater has yet to be rebooked for the Mark Hitchcock show at WrestleCon, so we'll be monitoring that. We'll be monitoring that for sure. But yeah, so that is the story ultimately in a nutshell. So I guess my message would be to Carlos. I try not to give advice to people that are older than me and more successful. Like, the guy's been around television and sports television a long time. I think he learned a hard lesson. Is if this is a WWE influenced call and they wanted you to go humiliate yourself, you really need to rethink the partnership at that point, because WWE doesn't have your best interest at heart. If that's the case, they just don't. They wanted you to go out there and look like a fool and do something that hurts your company. It hurts your talent. It hurts the ecosystem. Those wrestlers going through with those matches would have not have hurt anything. You have not been negatively impacted one bit. In fact, people would have went and watched Leon Slater versus Ricochet. The gifts would have been all over the place and like, oh, that guy looks cool. Maybe I'll give TNA a shot. That is more likely to happen than them watching and say, oh, that guy lost to Ricochet. I'm not interested. That doesn't happen. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. People have wrote off Nick Nemeth for a long time, and they're not willing to give Nick Nemeth a chance on TNA. But if he had a really good match with MJF, the sickos would be like, oh, wait, I didn't realize Nemeth could still go. And they might have given TNA a chance. So if this is a WWE influenced, they made you look like a fool. You need to rethink the partnership, and is it really worth it at this point? You got your TV deal. Now, if this TV deal is contingent on you remaining in partnership, remaining in bed with WWE, okay, obviously, like, you got to stay in bed. But if this is a WWE forced situation where they have power over you, and you can't run your company your way, where they have power over your talent, taking third-party bookings, moonlighting on the side, then you are not a sovereign company and you're not a real president. You're not, like, because what are you the president of? You're a figurehead at that point. You're a surrogate for Triple H and Nick Khan. Like, your position doesn't exist. So if that's the case, that's fine. We just need to be told that. So that way we know, the fans that paid money for your shows, the guys like me that cover it, we need to know what we're really watching and what we're really getting behind. Because if this is just a WWE proxy puppet organization, then I'm not fucking interested. I'm just not. So, anyway, I went 35 minutes on that. So, the chat's blowing up. Chat, I love you guys. I can't get to everybody. So I apologize. But you guys are blowing up. I really appreciate the chat. If you guys got some good stuff to say, hit me with it. Hit me with a super chat. Hit me with a super chat. Let's see. I'm just gonna get to a couple. Sharam Mascote says, I don't care what anybody say about TNA. They are stupid, like MJF said. You dumb motherfucker. Okay. Gerard says, should have let those matches happen and put the policy in place after. That was the point that I meant to make. And I know, Gerard, I made that in our chat. And that was the point that Dave made. That's the point that Trevor Dame made. Everybody made. Let the matches happen. Implement the policy afterwards. Look, I don't think that that's like the worst policy. I think it's silly. 2026, like, what is that? We don't need that. That's dumb. Nobody cares who wins, loses independent matches. Independent matches are meaningless. They have no storylines. They have no bearing on anything. They don't impact your show whatsoever. Right? If you think that they do, you are a fucking moron. If you think a single person in this goddamn forsaken world cares who wins and loses independent wrestling matches, you're an idiot. You're a fucking moron. You really are. You really are. Okay. Let's see. Okay. AEW didn't have TNA's best interest at heart when Kenny was Impact champion. Well, they made a lot of money off of that deal. So they had some really good ratings and they had a couple good pay-per-views. So, but yeah, it would have been nice for Kenny to drop it to Josh. Yeah, for sure. But here's the thing. You're not doing business with AEW. Unless you're doing business with Maple Leaf Pro. I agree with pulling the talent from Maple Leaf Pro. I don't think you should do business with those guys. For sure. Especially after what happened at their last show, with the joint show with Ring of Honor, when they announced Steve Macklin was going to be there and he was going to be missing the TNA tape. He's like, okay, well, that guy's not winning the title that he's about to go wrestle for. That was dirty. And they'll babyface. They'll say, we didn't mean to do that on purpose. Yeah, you did. That was intentional. You can't tell me. Come on. I wasn't born yesterday. I just, if I'm TNA, I wouldn't let my people go work for D'Amore, for sure. D'Amore didn't like you guys. And you guys don't like him. So fucking why do business? And D'Amore, MLP, and I'm excited for them to get on TSN. I think that's great. But they're like a subsidy. The only reason they're getting that is because they're being subsidized by AEW. Like, you don't want to do business there. Okay, I understand that. But independent shows? Fucking WrestleCon? Creative Pro? Creative Pro's acronym is crap. Like, why would you care about Creative Pro? And that's Brian Myers' show. That's your guy. Like, he's promoting it. And you fucked him over? He's been a loyal soldier since like 2020, like for 6 years. That's who you fuck over? Like, that's what I care about. And there's going to be more coming out. They've been pulling talent left and right from specific matches. And I don't think that they're being reimbursed. Like, if they lose the bookings, then they're just fucked. And the talent did everything the right way. They went through the chain of command and got it all approved. And now the top of the chain is changing their mind because of influence from a foreign power. Right? That's stupid. Let's see. Demon walking. If they pulled him from just random matches, fine. But from matches with AEW talent, TNA needs to protect their talent from jobbing to another TV wrestling company. Demon walking. Nobody gives a fuck about who wins and loses the matches. But again, I agree with you. They don't need to be on Maple Leaf. And King of the North, King of all Canada. Canada's still a monarchy, by the way. So, like, whenever King Charles comes to town, like, they got to fucking bow to that guy. Not here. We got rid of his ass. Maple Leaf stuff was going to end in July anyways because of the TV contracts. I think it ended the moment they spoiled the Sacrifice main event, for sure. I think the AEW thing came after AEW formalized a partnership with Maple Leaf Pro. Tony almost certainly helped Scott get on TSN in Canada because that's what AEW is. Oh, for sure, yeah. Like, no, like they're in a full-blown partnership. Absolutely.
Competition starting to get thick.
Hello, Do you like New Japan Pro Wrestling? Are you a Shin Nihon freak? If so, check out the Super J-Cast with Joel and Damon on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
And even if you fucking hate New Japan Pro Wrestling, listen to the Super J-Cast anyway. Not just for our great show reviews, analysis, and pastrami sandwiches, but there's also usually some dick jokes somewhere in the obligatory opening 30 minutes of absolute nonsense we chat about every single week. That's the Super J-Cast for all the best talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, crisps, and pornography.